What's up, you guys? This is Gal from One Code Camp, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we will talk about arrow functions, what arrow functions are, how they are made, how they are used, and why they are called as such. So, stick around. ECMAScript 2015, commonly referred to as ES6, is a major update of JavaScript. It brought numerous enhancements and new features to the language, and one of it is the arrow function. Before we will start our discussion, the platform that I will be using for our coding is Google Apps Script. You can use this code editor by visiting script.google.com. And as we can see here, we have our function called main. This is the function our code editor will run, and we call in the functions that we will create here in our main function for them to work. Arrow functions provide a more concise syntax for defining functions, making the code cleaner and often easier to read. They are known as arrow functions due to the fat arrow symbol used to define them, and later on we can see what this fat arrow symbol looks like. But first, let's refresh the common traditional ways of creating a function. The most straightforward way to create a function is using a function declaration, and this is how it looks like. It starts with the keyword function, followed by the function name, and then the list of parameters, and here we have a and b, enclosed in parentheses, and of course, the block of code. The second traditional way is to use function expressions, where functions are assigned to a variable, and this is how they look like. Say here, we have to declare a variable first, and that would be our variable multiply. Then assign it with a function by typing in the function keyword, then its parameters, a and b, and then a block of code, which is return a times b. But when we do arrow functions, the first thing is to declare a variable, similar to what we did in function expressions, because arrow function utilizes the concept of function expression, where the function is again assigned into a variable. After the assignment operator is the parameter parentheses, and after the parentheses is our fat arrow symbol, which is made up of equal sign and the greater than symbol. So this right here is the reason why this function is called an arrow function. Then this arrow function points to the function body, or the block of code. This is the basic syntax, or the basic version of the arrow function. How we call an arrow function is just similar to how we call a regular function. We type in its function name, which is the variable name right here, the arrow function, and the parentheses. So this is how it looks like when we call an arrow function. Let's hit on run and let's see what will happen. And in here, in our execution log, it displays here, I am the basic version, because that is the code block inside our arrow function. The second version of the fat arrow is even more concise. But first, let us minimize these functions. Say here, in our arrow function version 2, it has two parameters, a and b, which represent the two numbers we will add. What we want is for this function to return the sum of the numbers. So typically, what we type inside the curly braces is return a plus b. This works. This works just fine. If we will try to call this function and add the necessary arguments, it will yield the result that we want. But we can make it even shorter. Because we only have one code statement here, and that is return a plus b, we can skip the curly braces right there. And we are seeing a squiggly line here under the return word because we have to omit that keyword. And don't forget our semicolon. And this works perfectly fine, and it still returns the result of the operation implicitly. When we say implicit, it means that the utilization of the return keyword is not necessary. But again, this will only work when the function body contains a single expression. Let's try to call this function our main function. Right here. There we go. And What we did here is making this arrow function version 2 an argument of the console.log, just so we can see the result in our console. And then we pass in two arguments for our arrow function version 2, and those arguments is 3 and 2. Let's hit on run, and as we can see here, we can see number 5, which is the sum of 3 and 2. But what if we have one parameter? Say here in our arrow function version 3, we have a parameter name, which represents the name of a person. So this function or arrow function we are doing will return a statement that would just say, my name is John Doe. So after the fat arrow is our function body that will return a string, or that will return that string message. Because we will use the parameter as a placeholder for the name of the person, we will use template literal. If you want to know more about template literals, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you would be notified when we will upload that topic. Now, if our function has one parameter, we can omit the parentheses that surrounds that parameter. Say here, we deleted the parentheses that surrounded the name parameter. And again, because we only have one code statement in the body, we can omit the curly braces as well, as per the version 2 of our arrow function, which means this function will return the string my name is and then the argument implicitly. So let's call the arrow function version 3 in the main function, making it an argument of console.log. And we have here an argument that says John Doe. So let's try to run it. And as we can see here, A is not defined because we should put here name, not A. Sorry for that. Then let's click on run again, and hopefully this will run. So there we can see in our execution log, my name is John Doe. So that is it, guys, about arrow functions. Hopefully we have learned something for today's tutorial. See you guys on our next video.